I feel like I should be in work mode and achievement goal, and that it's time for me to set big goals that I can strive for again. But every time I get in that mindset, I hear God whisper to me, rest and write. Just write the book. But in my mind, it just doesn't make sense. That, I think, shouldn't I work harder to build my business right now, which has been sitting here waiting for me for almost a year as I was off sailing on a boat? But no, the message has been very clear. I hear it loud and clear. Rest and write.
Welcome to the Discovering Your Calling podcast. I'm your host, Sherry Miter. I'm here to help you unleash your strengths and get clarity on your calling. I believe when you find your purpose in life, fulfillment, joy, and success will follow. If you're ready, pop in those earbuds, hit that follow button, and join me on this journey toward discovering your calling.
Hey friends, it's been a while since I've done this, but I wanted to pop in before we got started and just read you a great review about the Discovering Your Calling podcast. And this came from Shayna from My Ideal Balance. And she said, if you're feeling stuck in your career and seeking something more, Discovering Your Calling is a game changer. This relatable journey from network marketing to becoming a strengths coach is both inspiring and motivating. Her insights on using Clifton strengths to find your true calling are spot on. Sherry's advice is like having a personal coach guiding you through every step. Highly recommended for anyone ready to align their careers with their natural talents. What sets this podcast apart? Insightful tips on using Clifton Strengths, aka StrengthsFinder, to find your true calling, practical advice for career change and entrepreneurship, and inspiring stories from Sherry's own journey. Shayna, thank you so much for taking the time to leave a great 5-star review and listening to the Discovering Your Calling podcast. It's summertime here in America, and we are definitely in the dog days of summer with a heat streak happening all across the United States and definitely in our beach town here. It's hot. It's really hot. And, traditionally, summertime tends to be that time of slowing down and spending time with family and friends, vacations, backyard barbecues, beach or pool days, outdoor concerts, and if you're lucky, long leisurely naps. It's, a time to reconnect with nature and with ourselves and our friends and family. And it can definitely be a season of rest for many of us. And I was thinking about my mom's family. They're Kansas farmers. They arrived in Kansas in a covered wagon, like that type of Kansas wheat farmer family. And, in Kansas, in that corner of Kansas, the northwestern corner, it's all about cattle and wheat. And, spring was for planting and late summer, early fall was for harvesting. And in between, in the dog days of summer, it really was a time to rest. Of course, you're hoping and praying that the crop is growing. And there's jobs to be done. There's chores to be done, of course. You have to nurture the crops and take care of the cattle. But it's just a much slower pace in the summertime. And it's also a season of a lot of trust. Trust in what you don't see. Trust in what's happening under the ground. Trust that the crop will flourish. Trust that all the work and efforts will be worth it when the crop is harvested. And, I'm not sure about you, but I'm really, really feeling called right now to create a slower paced summer schedule. And I'm resisting this calling right now to slow down. And it's a pace that I know I need, it's so hard for me to do. And I have a high activator in my top 10. I have strategic, I have futuristic, maximizer. I love to be working. And I realize I thrive on that. And to be totally honest, I had another podcast already set to go out this week that was all about achieving goals and striving and how I missed that sense of that June rush that I used to have in network marketing where we were running towards the end of our goals And yes, we would take some time off in July to reconnect and rethink, but then it was like hit the ground running again. And there was a part of me that misses that. And I had recorded a podcast all about that, but it didn't feel right. It didn't feel right to release that one. Because here's the thing, and this is the real message here for you, is the past 3 months, I have felt very called by God to rest and to write and to slow down and to trust in Him. And I know He's calling me to work on a book that I've been thinking about for 2 years, a book for you, a book on the discovering your calling process. It's a book that the idea was planted inside of me as a seed a few years ago by my son Jeremy and his wife Lauren when they read my new workbook for the academy. And they're like, have you ever thought of writing a book? And at that time, no, I had not. I love to read books, but I hadn't thought about writing a book. But that seed grew inside of me. And now it's ready to get harvested. It's ready to really start writing this book. And I have been feeling God telling me to rest and write and write and rest. And again, I am being super honest with you right now. I have been totally resisting this call. And I think I've been resisting it. Well, I know I've been resisting it for the past 3 months, because if you follow me at all, you may know that last year at this time, we were getting ready for a sailing sabbatical. I took time off to do a trip down the East Coast with my husband on a 42-foot sailboat and live out a dream that we've had for years. And I took time off from my business last year. And then we moved from North Carolina when that venture was over. We moved from North Carolina to Delaware into a temporary house for a couple of months. And then we moved again into our long-term rental. So life has been crazy. And I would like to say sailing on the boat was restful, but it really wasn't. But it was fun. But in my mind, now is the time for me to get back to work. I feel like I should be in work mode, an achievement goal, and that it's time for me to set big goals that I can strive for again. But every time I get in that mindset, I hear God whisper to me, rest and write. And you know what? My husband has been sensing the same message from God for me as well. And he keeps telling me, just write the book. But in my mind, it just doesn't make sense. That, I think, shouldn't I work harder to build my business right now, which has been sitting here waiting for me for almost a year as I was off sailing on a boat and getting settled in our new place? Isn't it time to work? But no, the message has been very clear. I hear it and read it in my daily devotionals. I hear it in songs. I hear it from my husband. I hear it loud and clear. Rest and write and trust. It's the and trust, I think, that scares me. It's the trusting that God has a plan. It's trusting that if I listen and I'm obedient to Him, that there will be a time to flourish again. Just like my granddad, Morgan, had to trust that the harvest would come after the investment of time and money and waiting for the wheat to grow. And I know that if I trust in God, He'll do the work I can't see. And I'm assuming He knows the impact that this book that I'm called to write will have on the lives. Maybe it'll have an impact on your life. He knows more than I'm ever going to know or understand. And my friend, I'm telling you this because I want to hold myself accountable to you and that you can help me rest and write. And I don't know what this is exactly going to look like. I just know that I will be devoting a lot more time to just writing. And I know when I can clear my thoughts and I can let go of having to strategize about a new idea or how am I going to offer, what offer can I create for you right now? If I let all that go and just step away from it for now, and just write this book and rest and enjoy this beautiful area that we get privileged to live in for at least the next year. We don't know what's happening after that, but why not enjoy it now? And trust that God knows what will happen when I'm obedient. And I also know that besides writing and and you're working on the book and resting and enjoying this area, I will continue to have great podcasts for you. I want to bring you valuable and insightful podcasts that will help you figure out what season you're in. Are you in a season of rest? Are you in a season of work? Are you in a season of discovering your calling? Are you in a season of just self-improvement and finding out what your strengths are? And you're going to have a front row seat as my story unfolds, literally and figuratively. I'm going to bring you on this journey of rest and trust with me and the progress of the book, because the book's on discovering your calling. So as I'm writing, I'm getting very inspired on podcasts that I can share with you that will be in the book. So you're going to get insights and first seeds of what you can read in the book when it's finished. And, I have a few elite clients that we'll continue to work with this summer, but everything else, I'm going to work really, really hard to just pause, just let it go for now. And my calendar, I hope to fill up with nothing or things that are fun and restful and reconnect with myself, with God, my family, and again, this beautiful beach area that we're so privileged to live in right now. And my hope is at the end of the summer that I will have written a book that I can be proud of and one that will go out and make a big impact on the world, and that I will be rested so that when the harvest is set and God says go, I will be ready for that. So my friend, I want to ask you 3 questions right now, questions that I hope you will take the time to really think about, and questions that, maybe you need to pause this podcast right now and pause it and come back and write these questions down and journal about them, think about them. But here's the questions. And I hope that after you ponder these, that you might send me an email or pop over on the DMs on Facebook and let me know what answers you came up with. I would be totally honored if you took the time to do that. So here's question number 1. What has God been whispering, or maybe he's shouting to you that you've been resisting? So what is God whispering or shouting to you that you've been resisting? I know I'm not the only one who resists God's call. Number 2, are you in a season of success where you are harvesting the seeds you've been planted a while ago? Or are you in a season of that summertime dog days of rest? A season of just renewing and reflecting so that you can get ready for the harvest when it's set. And number 3, if it is rest, what do you need to let go of to fully embrace the rest? Because my friend, as busy, high-achieving women and men, we can't keep doing it all and expect to have the rest that we're called to create in our lives right now. So what will you let go of so you can embrace the rest? So again, I'd feel honored if you felt comfortable sending me an email or again, pop in the DMs and let me know. What did you come up with your reflection time on these questions? And I hope you'll continue to follow along with me again as this journey unfolds, and who knows what's ahead? We don't know, but I'm going to do my best to really rest and write and podcast and rest some more and enjoy the summer and trust that God will provide everything I need so that when the harvest is ready, I'll be ready as well. All right, my friends, we'll catch you back here next week for another episode of the Discovering Your Calling podcast. Thanks for being here as always.
Thank you for spending this time with me. My hope is something you heard today inspires you to take action toward discovering your calling. I just have 2 favors to ask of you before you go. 1, if you found value and enjoyed this episode, please leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, and you might hear your review read on a future episode. And 2, can you share this episode with 3 friends who will also enjoy it as much as you did? By doing these things, you will help us grow the podcast to make a bigger impact on the world. And until next week, remember, you've been created to live a life of fulfillment, freedom, purpose, success, and joy.